Hi everybody, how are you? So I'm in between waiting for layers to dry, so I don't know how exciting this will be, but I had the paint out, so I'm just giving this a coat. That's kind of the second coat. This is what I was working on, and it's an old Cash. No, it's not a Prima. It's an old Tim Holtz one. This is an old Cash strong box. It's about 10.5 by 7 by 4 deep, and it's the type of thing that used to have a drawer in it, and it was gray, and I got it at a yard sale yesterday for $1. So I was just going to do this up, and then I also got this one. This is still drying a little bit. So we'll give it a few minutes. This one was also $1, and it's an old toolbox. So I don't know if you guys remember, I had made a book to put my pearls and things in, and unfortunately it's falling apart. So this fits them quite nicely, and so I'll see if I can do this without totally messing it up. So they all fit in here pretty well, and I was thinking of the same thing, Eileen, but I didn't want it to be translucent. I really wanted kind of more of the shabby chic influence, so I just sanded it up a little bit, and I put my craft paint on it. This is 3 coats on here, and I haven't done the bottom, so I'll see if I can show you the bottom to give you an idea of the color, but that's the color it was. And then the idea will be to, I have some of the new Tim Holtz wallflower paper, and there's a page in there that I really like, that I thought I would collage in different pieces and then add some trim, and I've got some words, some letters that I think will look real nice on it. So I just really need to make sure it dries. How are you feeling? Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to debate whether I want to paint the other one too or not. But this is, you can still see it's still a little bit wet, that third coat. But it's going to be a whole lot more portable. So I had leftover paint, and I did scratch this up. And I wanted to show you guys something. This was a gift to me. My friend Nancy had given me this as part of a Christmas gift. When I was in California, I went to Daiso, and I found these. They're actual clocks. They were marked $4. I don't think I paid that for them. And it's the same thing, only smaller. So there's a chrome one, and there's a black one. So this I thought might just be cool and different. So if you're in California and you have a Daiso store, I'm going to take this out to show you. But this is a real working clock. You just put a battery in it. You need a jeweler's, screwdriver type of thing. But that's the scale. It's the same thing. So I imagine you could take the back off of this if you tried really hard. This unscrews and you could take the guts out and you could use the canister, or you could just decorate it and use it as an actual clock. But they stand up like that, kind of rest on their back. Oh, do they? I think that I paid about $1. I had given Myrta a couple, but just something to keep your eyes out for. And there's something I wanted to show you guys that I'm cleaning up and unpacking, and I found. We went to this reuse store when I was in California, and there was an art school that had donated all of these microfilms, these slides, and of different artists. And I have a lot of Claude Monet, Heinrich, Hurl, and if you were to project this, you would see the whole work. Henry Matisse. I really wish you could look through it, but that's a landscape. So I was thinking there was one that I wanted to try and open, or try and cut out the actual slide. I thought it might be cool to try and mount it on something. But yeah, I think I paid 5 cents a piece for them. So that was something cool. So that's what we're up to. These are drying from their first layers. But I think I could put a heat tool on it and it wouldn't hurt anything. I did it for the first couple. But what the lamp shape, the slides. Cleaned up my floor last night and wrapped up all my tools because the cords were making me nuts. So bear with me just a second while I plug this in. You can't hear me at all? sorry, it's probably not going to get any better for a little while. And I don't care if this cracks. That's pretty close to dry. That's a good thing about craft paint. It dries lickety split. I mean, I just did 2 cards. I did 3 coats. And I don't want it to be perfect. But I want it, you know, quite a bit of that gray gone. And I think we're good now. Okay, so the only thing I prefer the rust, but of course there was paint on my hands that got on the handle. And that will make me crazy. Okay, not perfect, but better. All right, a little bit better. Okay. So I just want to do some quick measurements. I really like this strongbox. I was looking for a toolbox, but as luck would have it, 10.5 by 7.25. Okay, so the piece of paper that I like out of this stack for this project is this one. And it has some words on the back too, so I'm just going to try and, you know, he really needs to invest in some better glue that he puts these tablets together by, because look at that. I just ripped my back page. I'm glad I was looking at collage. But I don't care for that. When you pull it out, alright, so we said the lid. 10.5. By I'm going to go 7.5 and then cut off that edge. Yeah, it's Tim Holtz. It's the wallflower. Okay, so this is the idea, and yes, it is slightly big. That's okay, because, well, here's a couple of tips about tearing. If you tear towards yourself, you will always get more of a frayed edge than if you tear away from yourself. Something I learned many moons ago. So I kind of like that edge because I'm going to put some ink on it, of course. And I like the difference between the cut and the torn. So I'm just kind of folding it over the back. But I like the difference, but not enough to keep it entirely, so I'm just kind of making it fit. And I'm probably going to overlap a bunch of stuff too. I'm trying to decide what color I want to do the edges in. Tea-dyed vintage photo. I always do vintage photo and it usually never disappoints, so I think I'm just going to stick with that. Yeah, it's going to be my new Bling Box. I painted it. Hey, Linda. Let me just get this up. Let's see how we like it. Oh, that is seriously heavy. Alright, that's a bit better. Too heavy a hand initially. I think that's okay. So here's a wicked old paintbrush. And this is some regular gel medium. I think that's the only thing that's going to hold it. It's really not bad for the $1 I paid for it. Some paint. Now, if you don't use charms, then make yourself some like pieces to stick in your journals. You know what I mean? Like a dangly or something, or a stick pin. Just spend a day. That's what we used to do when I was scrapbooking. We would spend a day and make all kinds of embellishments so we would have them later. fun just to make up a batch of things, and then the real test is to use it, you know. There were groups on YouTube that were doing different swivel clasps and charms and things. Yeah, you know, that's what I've noticed when I've watched Rachel paint in her journal. She does, you know, layer after layer and stamping. There's so many times that I'll watch her video and I'll be like, oh, but I love it the way it is. And then when she covers it up, I'm like, oh, but I like that just as well. Yeah, watch if you ever are interested. I mean, Rachel's one person that I've seen, you know, Paula too. But Rachel more often, she'll paint a background. She'll go over it with stamping. She'll put 3 more layers on top of it. So it's like completely hidden. But it always adds something to, you know, of quality to whatever she's working on. You know, I'm a huge fan of hers, always have been for years, even before we were friendly, but she's one person that I've seen do it, you know, quite regularly. And I'm hoping that this is kind of the same. They all count, you know, they all count when she does it. Yeah, I was never one, you know, in scrapbooking to do, I mean, I started doing titles, you know, when I got more into it, but I was never a person to really title anything. I was never a big journaler other than dates and who was in the pictures and that kind of stuff. Which is why I think I've never really taken to the type of art journaling where you know, get your feelings out. I'm okay with my feelings being in, I guess. I see that it has, you know, a lot of therapeutic qualities for a lot of people. It's just, you know, I like more of a scene, you know, like I was just never a person to do that. All right. Alright, so there's the top. Let's tip this on its back. Let's see what we want to look at on the front. But we used to make little one-by-one things to they called them inchies, and they were just decorative elements that you would stick on a scrapbook page. I remember being in swaps for them, and it was sometimes stamped, sometimes decorated. I mean, you got to remember too, it was also at a time when, you know, stickles were the big thing. It was before we had more subtle things. I remember doing tons of Cricut layouts, you know, but I remember using it for like letters and things that we couldn't cut out ourselves. And you know, when I first learned the scrapbook, you made everything. You made all your embellishments by hand because the options were like Jolie's or Mrs. Grossman, and it was just never my style. Nothing wrong with it, but you know, the main problem too is, you know, most people that scrapbook are doing trips, their children, their family. I was doing more genealogy type stuff as well. So, you know, we kind of ran out of pictures. So that's kind of why I stopped. I was good. Stickles were the big deal. I mean, I remember when you first discovered them, and you know, and you would plan your pages around what you were going to put stickles on because they took so long to dry. Now, it's just very different, is what I would say. I mean, I still like stickles. I still use the same colors that I always did. Usually the clear and stuff, but there's just, you know, more fast drying options now and more subtle qualities. To each his own. There's, you know, that's why there's chocolate and vanilla. Speaking of which, there is an all-you-can-eat ice cream festival today from 12 to 6 at the park in my town. I might have to take a bike ride and check that out. How do we think we're coming along? Do we like it? Do we hate it? That's kind of the front. Just kind of wanted to get some paper on here. To take care of some of the larger areas. Oh, I knew you'd say that, Diane, and I do like them. But there's just when it's all you had, I mean, to me it was just kind of overkill. And my style was different, it just sorry, I have a bad habit of not talking when I'm working sometimes. Oh, that's not moving. Okay, so I got some on the front, the top, one side. I think I like this postmark. Okay. So maybe just a few pieces on the back, some kind of random way. Oh, almost didn't make it match. My hands have so much stuff on them. Okay. Let me get more gel medium in here. Can wrap that corner. Okay, then I was going to ask all you art journalers, since you guys know that I don't paint. I don't have occasion to use this medium very much. Should I go over the top with it? I have some triple thick. Should I use that? What should I do? Should I just go right over the top of it? Because it seems like it's taken off the ink. What do you guys think? Just all these little scraps that I just cut. Because I don't want it to come off. I want it to be a functional box that I'm going to use, you know, when I'm crafting. And I think I'm going to put some trim on it. Do you think that's enough paper? Should I overlap the paper? What do you guys think I should do? Is anybody there? I don't have any spray fixative. I mean, I might, but I'd have to go outside. I have triple thick, which is this varnish. Let me get it. Brilliant brush on gloss glaze, diamond, non-yellowing clear finish. It says, clear high gloss glaze ideal for adding a protective finish with the look of depth to hard craft surfaces. Triple thick brush on is 3 times as thick, dries quickly, and resists cracking. Only 1 coat is needed. May be used on wood, wicker, metal, plaster, resins, paper mache, bisque, ceramics, painted china, and other surfaces. For textured or porous surfaces, a second coat may be necessary. Let it dry 5-10 minutes between coat. Wait 24 hours before handling finished surface. Yeah, I have some hairspray. I was thinking I might need either more paper or, some trim. I have these letters. I was going to put some trim around here, which is why I've kind of left it blank. I thought I could paint out, I could put some more ivory paint on it if we think that that's what it needs. Or I can just layer up the paper over and over. Okay, I guess I could add some more paper. So you guys think less of the cream showing is better, which is perfectly fine. I was trying to think what else I could put on it, because the more I put on it, the more it has a possibility to come off. And I have these letters. I like that there. Stays on, but what would I possibly stamp? Well, remember guys, I'm going to put some trim. I think some lace, some trim. It's going to cover up a lot of this. A map. I was thinking a texture stamp. Perhaps. Or, I don't have any open stamps. That's so funny. I think I'm kind of done with the paper though, to be honest. So whatever I'm going to do to seal this, if I'm going to do anything, I kind of need to do. I don't know if it would like go. Oh, I kind of like that. I just just noticed like a big smudge, so I just kind of hit it with a little bit of the ivory and it kind of I'm thinking about the stamps that I have. Alright, so let's take a break and think before we get too crazy. Our clock is drying nicely. When I originally started this, I definitely was going to put some kind of trim right there around the edge. And I was going to tie some ribbons to the handle. I could probably put something all around it if I wanted to. I don't. But ironically, I have a whole roll of vintage wrapping paper, vintage ad wrapping paper. And I have some of this thrift shop ephemera pack. Let's see if there's anything in there that might take up some space I could glue on. Oh, bird, flower, seed packet, typewriter type thingies, bingo chip, crazy people. Oh, I can go nuts with this whole thing. There's lots of things in here. A card. That's arsenic, I think now. Ruler. Thing to get ice. Moth. Okay, hang on. Some buttons. Hat size. Some more cards. Nests and eggs. What's this? Actual postcard. Spool cotton. Okay, so there's lots of things. So these I pretty much don't want. What's that? I would put some light text down first. Like dictionary paper, you mean? I'm trying to follow you. And just cover it more. No, a text stamp? Light text stamp. Okay, well, let's see. All I have is like some French. Alright, let's see what we got. I don't have many stamps. Like, I don't have I have a big block of text. Oh, I have this one. I have that guy. I have like this one. And then the life one. That kind of sums up all the text that I really have. No, I know, don't mount them, but, and then you know what else I have? I have some of this, which is like washi tape in a ruler. That might be fun. So what are you thinking? Timber Brown stays on? Or I think it's got to be stays on, right? Alright, let me find it. There's blue, there's gray. I think it's in the back of this drawer, because I don't use it that much. Oh, I've got this one. This is Spiced Chai, stays on. It's actually a pretty cool color. I'll show you. It's kind of a nice color. I should have stamped it first. But alas. I got this in California when I was out there with Murda. She took me to this awesome store. You would use in a light color? Well, I don't have a light color. It stays on. All I've got is the brown. Sorry. I don't think it looks bad though. And for these little teeny ones, I do want the whole sentiment to come up, so I do want a little block. The big one, I get. Eileen wants it to be more random. It's hard to turn this thing. I think I tend to agree with her though. I think it looks a lot better. It's kind of filling in the gaps. A bit more. Not so random. All right, what do you think? Enough? More? It looks a little more filled in. I will say that. I think it's good. have some spool tops. Okay. So what about this? Is it going to stick though? Or am I going to have to go over it constantly? What if I just matte medium it over the top? Will that work? Kind of like it. And that stuff seems pretty stuck down. Just for good measure, I'll go over the top. Because we got a bubble there. We could put some of that on the bottom too. But don't forget this. I have gold ones too. But I think they're fine. Okay, so now what we wanted to do was to find some more of this stuff. Now should I edge it and stays on, or should I just pop it wherever? That's exactly the right size for that. It covers up all that stamping though. Let's see this. You say edge, huh? It's not coming up, Eileen, but it's kind of painted that way. I did sandpaper it a little bit. I don't know, this could be the never-ending project. Let's see what else I've got in here. Got a bunch of words. There was something. Let's see. Kind of working in this one little area. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so that was that side. What do you think? You like the direction it's going? Okay. There's that. Hmm. Stuff is hiding from me. I tried to pull out things that I didn't think were all that relevant, but I kind of like that label. And I kind of like that label too. Okay. All right, I'm going to put some on the back here. Problem is most of what I have left is a little bit too tall. Two more sides. Oh, that one's smaller. Okay. Don't worry, the words are not stuck down yet, the letters. I know they're crooked. Uh-oh. Double layer here. That tape's not moving though. Alright, so there's the back. Thus far, only a couple little things because I'm kind of running out, so I want to put the larger things on first. I really want to use this because I love it. Alright. That's good. Alright. What else do I have? It's small. Yeah, I like this since I decided to use this ephemera. It's nice. I knew I bought it for a reason. Have the idea. Not too much color, you know. It's in the same type of look as the paper. Alright, now I'm kind of down to big stuff. Got this one little I feel like I got a lot of numbers. Don't necessarily want too many numbers. So why don't we take a look at it now, and you guys can tell me what you think it needs. A key? Well, we haven't done the trim yet. I have a white key. I have a large white key. Oh, there went that one. Let's get another eye out. I have this whole, like, recollection set. It's a little tiny key, where I have a white key. I did have, let's see. And I have a jar full of old keys, like really old. What did I do with that? I had one white key. They're selling at Michael's. I have some of those. Stars. What did I do with that white key? Thought I had put it in this little bin so I would use it. But no, it is not here. I'm just using this to get these straight. I think that's pretty centered. I think it is. Thank you. It kind of dulled it to me a little bit, but okay, so let's have a look at it and see what we think. Let's have a little sip of coffee here. Alright, so that's the top. This is the front. This is the side. This is the back. This is the other side. It looks very junk gypsy, if I say so myself. Not what I originally thought I would do, but it's okay. Let's make sure the latch is still working. Yep, works great. Okay. So I don't think it would be mine if I didn't put some kind of lace on it. Or some kind of... I think it needs some kind of pearl or lace or something. And I used to have trim in like sequins in like long strips. I gotta think though for a minute. And I think I just kind of want like just a mild amount of something. You know what I mean? Because I don't want it to interfere. And the stuff I have, I just think it's so flouncy and but that's a cool looking box, if I say so myself. I'm just checking my stuffage to see what I have that I'm gonna like. But I'm thinking what I might just like is just to tie something around the handle and keep it low. Because the only cream colored lace that I have is, well, let me see here. Let's see. What is big? One of these days I'm going to find something to use this beautiful Melissa Francis trim on that I have. I have this gorgeous half zipper trim. I've wanted to use it for a while, but I just don't have the appropriate project. there's some ivory. Oop. Oh, wait a minute. This is smaller. This might work out better. Let's see. I used to have ivory pearls, but I think I'm out of them. I have tons of white pearls, which I could use. And then I have this that I could cut into a strip. Oh, wait a minute. I might have found it. I might have found the thing. Hang on just a second. Oh, of course I have that much of it. Ugh. Got fringe. Why is this even in here? Let's see. It's so pretty and dainty. And the obvious place is for it to go here, but I think it just covers up too much. So I think I want something flatter. Like maybe just a row of these guys. That could be fun. I know these are white, but these might be easier to work with. Well, not sure. I think one thing I am sure of is I'm going to take a strip of this. Alright, I think the project's done. I think if I put any more on it, I'm just over decorating. Because I want it to be functional. So there you have it. Do I need a key? Well, I've got some of this. Alright, let me see if I have a key in my drawer. I had that beautiful white key. I wish I knew it. I cleaned up. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Here it is. It's gigantic. Do you think it's too big? I love keys. It's already painted. Needs a key on the sash. What's the sash? Do you think that one's too big? I mean, it's just decoration. I get you. Um, where the chowderhead? I like the white key. I don't know if I have a smaller one like that. I just have this super decorative one that went with this. Alright, hang on a second. I might have some others. Now this is from the handle of the other book, or the closure on the other book that broke. I'm going to get that in there. Came out a lot different than I thought, but it's still okay. I still like it. Yeah, well, you guys like doing that to me, I think. Keyholes. Here we go. That one's smaller. I think I like this one. Okay. I got one for you, Eileen. Okay. I'm going to tie these on because these were on my other book. And I liked them so much. And the colors go. Alright. There's your key. Okay, guys. What do you think? There's the top. Here's your little key. Everything's pretty well stuck down. I went over it with the gel, you know, the regular medium. Here's the front. There's the side. Here's the back. And there's the other side. I like it. And it opens, and I have my little packages of Prima, and they fit right in there quite nicely. So if you're at a yard sale and you see these cash boxes around, don't be afraid to pick one up, because just a couple of coats of paint, that's what you can come up with. I guess I don't have to seal it then. What do you guys think? Do you think I should put the triple thick over it? Just so the stuff doesn't move? I mean, I went over it with gel medium. That's what's holding everything down. Do you think it would hurt anything? I'm not sure if it would or not. So what I'm trying to figure out is I got another one. No, I'm not. It's not gonna probably ever leave this room. I really like it. I love it when I get something for $1 and can make something useful out of it. I have this strange toolbox, I guess, that's like 2-layered. Myrna has one too. It's funny, we have the same one. But I keep my distress stains in it. But I also picked up this one for $1, and I'm trying to decide what to put in it. I really like that. That came out nice. That one's a good size too. I don't know if this was a fishing box or if it was a toolbox, but it was barely used. And it's good metal. Which sprays? I have too many sprays, unfortunately, and they're in a turning rack, you know, like they use for paint, that Sharon gifted me. Trying to figure out what supplies though. Like, there are certain things that I seem to reach for a lot, me just put some of this stuff away. And that's what I got them for, was, you know, something that can be contained, that I can have it right here. See, Carrie, thanks for coming. I do have an idea for another project. You know what? Maybe my Dilutions would fit in there, but I have this cute little thing for them. Boy, the more I look at it, the more I like it. The clock is somewhat dry. I have to come up with an idea for the interior of it, though. I'm not too sure what I want that to become. I also have a gumball machine. I got a gumball machine at a yard sale. It needed a really, really good cleaning. And I did that, and it happens to be green. It has the big glass, you know, canister where the gumballs went. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? While I had this glue out and my fingers were all messed up, the keys to my typewriter popped off. So I wanted to put some of this stuff back on. And I think I have them. I just have to check the order of the letters. Looks like I'm missing a 0. I have one of those bingos. I've had it for work for a long time. I think these little keys were knocked off by a kitty cat. Alright, so let me take a look at the keyboard here. Thanks for indulging me. I have a bad habit of not changing. You know, like I have a couple of crafts that I really labored on that broke. Because when I first did this, I just hot glued it. But since my fingers are all glued up already, I might as well take a few minutes before I lose all these pieces and put it back together. Looks like the Z and the 0 potentially went missing. They're here somewhere. Seeing as I touch it, more just come up. No, it's not rare. The next space actually goes there. But I think I had 0 there. I loved her project the other week, the color forms. Alright. Alright, looks like I'm looking for an O, a 0, a Z, and some other punctuation. The damn cat, unfortunately, I had this sitting right in the window, and he just can't help himself. And he got up on it. I don't know if this is going to work for this, but I got it here. Yeah, no, not going to work. That's okay. I'm sure the other ones will turn up, but at least those are secured. Okay. Alright, I did have another idea for a project. And I think my clock is going to have to, see ya. I think my clock is still going to have to dry a bit. So I'm not going to pressure it. I can show you guys the other thing I had in mind today. Okay, these are a strawberry basket, like a quart size strawberry basket. These are the ones that I got at Mike's. I think they were $1. I was playing around with them, and I realized that your cards, your A2 size cards, can fit in there quite nicely. So I thought about decorating this. I had bought 2 of them at the time because I wanted to make a calendar, a perpetual calendar, where you could do, you know, tabs for all the months. And then I wanted to find something, you know, less expensive than, say, scrapbook paper. I've seen people use index cards. I've seen, you know, lots of things. But it can fit in there. I've seen the index card being used so people want to keep a record, you know, whatever day it is. Now, I don't think I have any index cards. I used to. I bet you if I took a short break and looked around, I might find that I do have some. But I like the index card idea because they're so inexpensive. They are so inexpensive. You know, you can get a pack of them for every day, and if you get the right size, you know, they can stand up because they're usually like 4 by 6, 3.5 by 5, so they could sit in there quite nicely. It's also something you could do, you know, if you have excessive, copious amounts of pattern paper that you want to blow through. And you know, I believe you'd have to put a mat on it to write on it. But I thought it would be something that you could sit on your desk. I'm thinking of doing them for Christmas gifts. You know, the index card idea, or a card holder. Now these are mildly embellished cards, and there's 4 of them here. You could probably get, you know, 10, 12 cards in there pretty easily, or I thought I had some. I don't know if I do or not. I used to have them in like office supply type stuff. But you know, it's just a matter of making the dividers and then making the calendars. And I have a stamp that was a calendar. Now it was tiny. It's this small. It was an Amy Tangerine stamp. and I loved it because you could put it on a card. You know, it was finally something that was small enough to put on a card, but I don't have, you know, you could go nuts. You could do January and make a cover page for January. And you could do your dividers out of lightweight chipboard if you wanted to. And then, you know, put your letters and then you just number them, you know what I mean? So you don't have to go crazy. I need to take a break anyway, and I thought Jess wanted to stream, so, you know, I don't want to crowd up the airways, so to speak. But you could get, you know, 500 4x6 index cards and then cut them and, you know, they make them 5x7 too, and that's really, really inexpensive. And then you can make it fit in there and you can make your dividers, and I think that would be really cute. And then you could also make it in such a way that, you know, the index cards are a little bit sturdier. So if you wanted to use it for work, you could put a post-it note, you know, you could write your notes, you could put some journal. Like for me, what would be a good thing for me to do would be to create a kind of a list, a detailed list of the occupancy of the hotel every day, year over year. So I'd kind of like to make one for my desk for that purpose, so that way when I'm planning next year's budget and so forth, I have a running account of it. So I just, as the year goes by, you know, I could figure that out. So index cards are a great idea. Definitely need to go and wash my hands. And then the other thing is I need to run to the hardware store, because my next thing for my card club is to do a skeleton out of a paint chip, and I really wanted to kind of knock those out this weekend. So large size index cards and paint chips is what I need. But I thought that those were kind of purposeful, you know, work items. So I kind of wanted to do, I always need cards at work. You know, I always need something that says thank you or happy birthday or whatever. So I thought I could just take, you know, make some kind of easy cards, put them in there, decorate it, and then I could do my kind of occupancy journal, or, you know, my daily work journal in the other one. And what's cool about it is it actually, if you didn't want to paint it, it actually has sides, you know. It's just like, you know, balsa wood or whatever. But, you know, you could attach some stuff. Yeah, there you go. Whatever you have, it's a good size. And if you keep it, you know, I'm thinking an address book. You know, like I have this one. Remember when we did the Rolodex cards and Darlene made me this one? It was great. But, you know, if you need a little Rolodex or something, you could turn one of these into it. It's just a good size and it goes away easily. So I think that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to sign off, take a break, make a run out to the store real quick, see if I can't get some index cards. And I have to get the paint chips anyway, because in order for me to continue working on what I'm supposed to be working on, I need to go to the hardware store today. So, and then I'll give somebody else a chance. So why don't we do that? So thanks for joining me for the Bling Box. I enjoyed that project, and the more I look at it, the more I like it. And I didn't see it at first, so thanks very much, Eileen and everyone. And if there is a open time frame, I'll be back. And this is what I'll be working on. So we'll see you later. Bye, everyone.